as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are available absolutely free through the tireless efforts of Dr. Michael and Jeannie Ryce and the website at whyagain.org. If you go to that page and click on the Start Here link in the upper left-hand corner, it'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of the book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. It's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 17 years to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships. And it's a tool that I've also been able to use to turn any negative emotional experience into part of the infallible guidance system that each one of us has been given. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. Nothing's withheld there. It's a PDF file. Click on it, download it, print it off, and use it as often as you'd like. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words, Heartland, Aramaic, Forgiveness, and get access to a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one, where people have been stepped through the use of that worksheet or given powerful testimonials about how the use of that worksheet process has improved the quality of their life. And if you go and do those things, download the worksheet, read the chapter of the book, use the worksheet in your life, it will usually prompt people to have comments or questions. And if you have comments or questions, that's why we're here. Give us a call at 563-999-3581. When you call that number and press 1, it'll put a question mark by your phone number, and I'll announce you by your area code. Today is the 260th day of the year, and we are doing the Course in Miracles lessons from the workbook, along with the Pam Grout's Course in Miracles experiment commentary. Today's lesson reads, Let me remember that the Creator created me. Father, I did not make myself, although in my insanity I thought I did. Yet, as your thought, I am just an expression of your thought, and so I have not left my source. I remain part of who you created me. Your Son, my Father, calls on you today. Let me remember that you created me. Let me remember my identity, and let my sinlessness, my perfect safety, arise before Christ's vision, through which I would look upon my brothers and myself today. Now is our source remembered, and therein we find our true identity at last. Holy and whole indeed we are, because our source can know no error, no sin. And we, who are the offspring of creation, are like each other and alike to the Creator. And Pam Grout's Course in Miracles experiment lesson number 260 is titled, Are you picking up what Source is laying down? She quotes Les Brown as saying, Don't be a garbage can for anything that does not feed your intellect, stimulate your imagination, or make you a more compassionate and peaceful person. Refuse to open your mind to other people's trash. Pam writes, before he married Gladys Knight or became an Ohio congressman or started teaching people to follow their dream, Les Brown was a student of Johnny Coleman, an amazing New Thought minister from Chicago. After graduating from her Johnny Coleman Institute, he agreed to recruit participants for her Universal Foundation for Better Living. He came into her office one day with his head down. Quote, I just don't understand, he said. I've been working my butt off, and I've only been able to sign up 7 people. And Johnny took one look at him and said, Les, that's because you've only got 7 people consciousness. Source consciousness is infinite. There is literally no limit to its generosity. It shows up in my life depending upon how much I pick up what it's laying down. I can pick up 7 people consciousness, or I can be like high-energy motivational speaker Les Brown, who, like Lesson 260 promises, he threw that ridiculous limit aside and took up instead with his true divine identity. Let me remember that I am the offspring of the Creator. So, that's our Course in Miracles workbook lesson and the Course in Miracles experiment commentary. And as usual, we've got about 15 minutes left for comments, questions, testimonials, answers, suggested topics, etc. 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. What's on your mind today? Those of you who are tuning in, do you have something that you would like to have us explore? Is there a worksheet you'd like to have us help you frame out? I have someone with a hand up. Is this Ellen?
Yes, it is. Hi, Dr. Tim.
Hello, Ellen.
I have some questions about the forgiveness process. On yesterday's show, you had mentioned about the YouTube video that's out there that has like the first hour of Dr. Michael Ryce's presentation, and I had never listened to that, so I decided to go out and listen to it. And in that, towards the end, he talks about how everyone sees
a Course in Miracles, not a Course in Miracles. We have a Mind Shifter support group tonight from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Central. All the information needed to join us there, absolutely free, is available at mindshiftersacademy.org. Please remember there's a separate login page for each Tuesday and Thursday group. We've had some people unsuccessfully try to log into the Thursday group using the Tuesday login code. But the reality that each of us creates is what we use to create our experience of life. And when you're holding the reality that you cannot be helped, you create an experience that proves it to you. You ask your mind, show me the proof that I can't be helped. And you're not even doing it consciously at that point. It's just an automatic process. And your mind will show you time and again the evidence that you cannot be helped.
And it happens through resonance, right? Because I think that, like, for example, the therapist that I went to initially, I don't know if it was just that it was this issue within me that resonated with this particular therapist who she wasn't there for me. I mean, it was like, but I don't think it was me in general. I just think she was not a good therapist, but that I was drawn to her, or she was drawn to me, I don't know which way it is, but because of that belief that I had that I can't be helped. So I'm naturally going to pull, into my experience someone that isn't going to be able to help me.
Or someone who has every resource and willingness to help you, and your perception does not allow you to see that that's potential.
Experience through a spontaneous regression. Otherwise I never would have remembered that had happened to me. So I've made that connection, and my understanding of the forgiveness process is that once the error is perceived and it is met with who you really are, the essence of love, that's when the healing or the removal of the error takes place, gets resolved. Correct?
That's the theory, yes.
Okay. So I've sat with that, and for whatever reason, I've never felt a release around that issue. And I don't know if this is because it's a hydra or if there's just something I'm missing. I feel like I'm missing something. And the thing is, it just came up again recently. I'm in the process of remodeling the third floor of my house, and all the doors up there were working fine. But I decided to change the hardware because the original hardware was just crap. And I thought, okay, let me put on nice hardware. And so all I did was replace the hinges, the old hinges with brand new hinges. And when I did that, the door no longer works. It doesn't even begin to close. So it was like, oh no. And of course that, and I got, I get frustrated in those situations, but I know that that's not there's an underlying emotion, and I really do believe it's fear. It's that danger that I felt that I'm not going to get the help that I need, that, whatever, I don't even know what I was crying for at the time in that particular situation. Because I feel a sense of helplessness. I mean, that's what I experienced with this latest door episode. It's like, oh no, as self-reliant as I have become in my life, that's one thing that I would need help with, and then it's not something that I can do on my own. So, but anyway, I thought, well, why else would things don't happen randomly. Why else would this occur unless it's helping me to see that this issue is still not resolved?
Well, whether it's happening for you, or you can turn it into that something that's useful. I don't know the truth of, is the universe arranging this so that you'll look at that issue? I don't know. Could you stop and look at that issue? Yes. Right? Can you use the fact that replacing the hinges on the doors leads the doors to not open, and how that triggers you to think about this issue? Could you use that to go do more work? Absolutely. So here's the thing. The first thing that comes to mind, like several times while you were talking, is Ellen is using her intellect, decidedly above average intellect, to try to figure this out. And that, as Dr. Michael Ryce talks about, is the number one trap of the pseudo mind, the pseudo solution of the non-being mind, he calls it. So when you say, I know what this is now because it's a safety thing, et cetera, when this happened when I was younger and I couldn't get access to my mother because my brother slammed the door, et cetera. When you say that, you have made a decision, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're on to the big issue or the one thread that will unravel the whole issue. So just understand that, right? If it just keeps me in the game, this assumption doesn't have to be true, right? The assumption that when I see the thing at the bottom of it, it wipes everything else out. You know that assumption that you mentioned earlier that several spiritual traditions talk about? The Course in Miracles says, I need only return to the original error in thought in order for all of the negative effects of that thought to be dismantled. You know that kind of thing? That doesn't have to be true. I don't need that to be true, but if I keep using it and it keeps me in the game, that's good enough, because it has me continually going back to the tools and asking to be shown what I cannot figure out with the conscious logical mind. So let's say, you want a little bit of intellectual salve or motivation to continue to do worksheets around this, because you think you found the whole thing and the core of it, and it didn't go away yet. So here's a little bit of intellectual prompting that might motivate you to just go back and do more worksheets. What if, when that happened, and you were this baby, child, infant, toddler, whatever stage you were, and the door got slammed, and you had the fear that you couldn't get access to your mother, that's one of the things that you downloaded at that time. But what if it's only one of many, or 6 or 7 or 3 or 5 or whatever? And what if another one was something to do with, there's something wrong with me, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve, etc.
Definitely there, because before the door slammed, my mother wasn't coming, and I know I took on the belief that I don't matter. That is definitely, that's why I said I'm sure this is a Hydra issue, because I know that was all part of that same scenario. I was trying to focus, because I know there's more than one emotion there, and I was trying to focus on the fear emotion, but I also believe that there's this deep hurt that I was neglected by, my mother wouldn't come when I would cry, and she didn't meet those needs that I had. So I know that there's more than one worksheet to do around that particular scenario, but I was just trying to focus on the one, which was like the fear aspect of it.
Okay, but then when you're asking what's the matter, if I got to the core, why isn't it gone? Because there may be 2, 3, 5, 17 different core issues.
Okay. See, I was thinking that the door.
So look. Here's one. One thing is what happened in that moment, right? And what got downloaded then. And there might be more than just one core issue or belief about yourself or dynamic emotion.
Someone sat in their room with the door open. So yes, I see how all of these events added on, to that original association that a closed door is a bad thing. And so I kind of find it very humorous that, now now I have this issue where I have doors that won't close. So I actually find it very humorous. If it weren't so frustrating, it would be funny.
So let's come back to, because you said you had a question about the forgiveness process, and I feel like we've drifted away from that. What's the specific question you had prompted by that lecture that I might help you with?
Well, I guess I've experienced that feeling of release, when true forgiveness happens with other issues. And I just haven't experienced it with this issue. And even though, I've gone there and I've been, with my infant self and holding her and assuring her that everything is safe and that, it really has nothing to do with doors, and it has nothing to do with her. I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. And, I've gone and I've done a lot of work around that and feeling like I'm really the presence of love with this fear. And I've never felt that, I guess, that release that I know that comes with true forgiveness, the resolving of the issue. So I didn't know if I was just missing something or if it was because this is a hydra, and that until I work through all of the other pieces of it, I'm not going to be able to get to that.
Well, I imagine that if Dr. Ryce were here, he would say, this is one of your 77 times 70 worksheet issues. What does that refer to? 7 is the number of completion, And when you add 0 to a number, it means infinity. And so when somebody says, how many times do we have to do the forgiveness process? And the other person says 77 times 70, what they're saying is you have to be willing to use the tool on this set of issues an infinite number of times until there's resolution. And most of us, it wasn't intended to be an actual mathematical number, like a finite number, because you can multiply out 77 times 70. Most of us have never even done that many worksheets. But it wasn't intended to be a finite number. It was intended to be referenced to an infinite number until there is resolution. So when I had a trauma that happened when I was a baby in a crib, and then it's been compounded for years because of the family I lived in and the anger and the slamming of doors and all those things that you just talked about, it's not likely going to get resolved with any finite number of worksheets. I want to understand that I will forever have vigilance around this issue or about the triggers for this issue. And that's the only thing that's going to keep me functioning at a high level, having vigilance for when I do get triggered. I must assume I will probably always be triggered to one degree or another around these kinds of issues and this kind of trigger. And when I make that assumption, then I leave myself willing to do the work whenever I get triggered. And then I keep the space open for myself to continue to grow and heal. But when I have a plan to be done with an issue, I basically set myself the impossible task and a trap that I cannot escape from.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. So then the multiple or infinite number of worksheets, it's the same worksheet? Is that what you're saying? The trigger might...
And it's not necessarily the worksheet, it's the forgiveness process. It's the recognition that all of the upset that I'm experiencing is created from an inside job, and that as I hold a goal for anything in my life and my internal and external, the tool that Michael Ryce presents in his 2-hour lecture titled, Getting the Stress You Need. And many love, we actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Michael and Jeannie Ryce.
Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you, Dr. Sam.
Excellent conversation. Yeah. So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Friday, September the 17th, 2021. And our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you in queue to talk to us. And I'm going to turn Ellen's microphone back on. And Michael, welcome. Ellen, is there anything else that we can continue to support you in?
That's a good question. I just appreciate the support, because that was the thing that I always felt like I was missing in my life. And just knowing that there is support is very helpful to me. I think I have a lot to work on here that, there's more that got uncovered. So I need to start there because I feel like I've been over the same ground again and again and I haven't felt, I guess, any relief. But this is clearly like the big monstrous hydra in my particular life, and so I think I just need to do, continue doing the work on all the different things that are feeding into it.
Well, we join in holding the space, and
right. I guess what I'm since I know, okay, I don't even want to say that. So are you saying I don't have to, in order to do the forgiveness part, that doesn't mean I got to start at the top of the worksheet and do all of, because I know the underlying issues, as far back as, at least in this lifetime as it goes, that it's the forgiveness part of it, allowing that upset to be there, and at the same time bring that love to it. That's the part that needs to be repeated over and over and over again.
Well, and in Michael Ryce's work, it looks like figuring out what goal I'm holding, because there won't ever be an upset, a negative emotion in me, unless I'm holding a goal that's not getting met. So, in Michael Ryce's work, it means figuring out what the goal is, canceling the goal, and asking to be shown, putting my conscious logical mind on the side for now, and stepping into the insight, the intuition, asking a higher power, Ruka, whatever, Holy Spirit, the great comforter, asking for that insight and connection, and letting it be revealed, getting out of the conscious logical mind that wants to figure it out. So that's Dr. Michael Ryce's forgiveness process. Byron Katie's work is really dig into the only other way to relieve the stress of a goal once it's been set is to consciously cancel the goal.
Someone who's benefited from the work and said, I want this to be available for people that speak my language. So, if you speak a language that this book isn't translated into at this point, we've got some new material. So if you connect with us, we'll send you that new material. And if you choose to translate it, then we will gladly put it on our website free, so that anyone who speaks the language you happen to translate it into will have it available. So, and we've got everything from Farsi. I think that was one of the most delightful translations that someone volunteered to do. We had a woman from Tehran, Iran, who contacted us back several years ago now. And, we told her, well, we'll put your name on the acknowledgments. She said, no, you can't do that. I'm in Tehran. You don't understand. You can't put my name on it, but I want to translate it because the worksheets have changed my life. So I want it to be available. And so the book is available in Farsi. I believe at this point her name is on the translation. We went back and forth a couple of times where I guess politically it wasn't safe to put her name out there. And so she would contact us and take my name off the translation, and then a year later, 2 years later, it's okay to put it back on again. Go ahead. I don't know. I don't remember. You might remember, Jeannie, but a couple of times we went through that with her. Anyway, it is delightful to be able to provide these tools and help people to build the brain cells for a different way of living. So, and delighted to have you be part of the conversation and providing the listening ears. And, of course, to be part of the conversation, you have to speak.
Ask myself, what did I make this mean when this emotion arose, when this situation happened in 8th grade? And it will be there. There will be a negative belief about myself and or the world that gets clear in step 5. And then step 6, his forgiveness process is, I forgive myself for believing the false, the negative, and I forgive myself for forgetting that my true nature is perfect and sinless and completely safe, and internal, my value is internal and unchanging. And I just keep going back and forth between the adult self and the younger self, doing those 2 forgiveness statements until I feel a shift. It's the same basic work. I have to understand that if I have a negative emotion or a tension in my system anywhere, it's self-induced nonsense, my favorite acronym for SIN. It's a self-produced process. So it's the unraveling of that, which usually means putting the conscious logical mind aside, which is the hardest thing for us Westerners, right? Quit trying to figure it out and just use your tool of choice over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Just a couple things. Yeah, I mean, I was specifically focusing on the recent incident with the door, which clearly my goal was that, and you know, it's the same issue with all the issues I've had with the doors, and you know, the goal being that you know, I want the doors to function properly. I want to be able to close the doors. So that just takes me to the same place every time, which is fine if that's what I need to do.
Okay, listen, stop for a minute. I have to interrupt you because of what you just said.
Okay, because I don't want to.
You're tracing this. You're tracing this back to this incident where the door got slammed, right?
Yeah.
And you keep saying, "I just want the doors to close," but there must be a part of you. You know, I was about to say it could have nothing to do. It's a carpentry issue and the hinges, right? But another part of you, as a child, did not want that door to close.
Well, absolutely.
Right. So you keep saying, I just want the door to close and work properly. Well, guess what? At that metaphysical level, at that emotional level, there's another part of you that doesn't want these doors to close, period.
Well, that's exactly the problem. That's what I identified. Yes.
I know. And the other thing is, anybody knows who's done any carpentry that hanging a door is a special art. And if you mess with the hinges on a door, it's as common as your next breath that it's not going to work right. So there's a level at which this is just a good trigger. It's not that your emotional energy is creating a problem with the door. It's just that because there's a problem with the door, it's alerting you to this, oh, my mind keeps going back to this thing when I was a kid, so there must be some more stuff back there for me to clear up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the pressure off yourself and understand, you know, if you get a good carpenter in there, an expert at door hanging, the doors will work fine, and you don't have to wait until you resolve your emotional issues around that to get the doors to work.
This is what all of this talk has brought me a new insight. As you were, you know, talking there for a while, what came to me was a belief. I don't know that I've ever uncovered this one before or not, but it's very important, and this is the one that I need to work on, which is that I can't be helped. And that is what I feel whenever, like with this whole issue with the door just happened, because I had so many doors that needed to be fixed, and I finally found someone who could fix doors, and then I think he got so tired of fixing so many of my doors that the last time I called him, I called him several times and he just wouldn't call me back. So I was like, okay, I guess he doesn't want to fix my doors anymore. So this is the issue that I need to work on, which you helped me identify, that I have this belief that I wasn't aware of that I can't be helped. And I see how this goes all the way back, because I didn't receive the help that I needed as a child. Emotionally, I was a wreck, and my parents didn't do anything about it except shove me in my room and close the door. You know, so there was this intense desire to be helped and not to get, oh boy, here it comes.
Soften and hold the air in and do a slow exhale. nice, slow goals in the day, but I get a lot more done because I framed them out the night before. I woke up in the morning, reevaluated which ones I would set, had a plan for how to achieve them within a certain time frame.
We experience and carry with us and then react to when we have a trigger later in our life, that when we mistakenly have often thought they have to be really big, horrible things. But necessarily they are not. They are just how we perceived it because, of course, it is, as you say, our perception that is most important. And then he also added that because of where the parents are in their energetic being, the traumas don't even have to be spoken. And that carries the information that
they don't have to be. Could you say that again? They don't have to be.
They don't have to be spoken or acted out.
Oh, right.
And just as you teach us that they can be generational, and the child can perceive it and feel it, and that he gives one example that I really like about how it is that we make these erroneous decisions that I have made many of, and lots of us have, maybe all of us humans, and that, let me see how the example goes. I'll make one up. A parent wants the child to do something, to put away his toys, let's say. And the child wants to keep playing, and so chooses not to put away the toys. And the parent then...
Soften. I'm too much. I can't be helped. There's no way out. I'm going to end up in a mental health institute, locked away. Just breathe. Let it come up and notice what comes up with it. Notice the energy you feel as you keep the breath moving slowly.
I don't know, I feel like I'm getting in my head now. And I know it's like this, it's such a fear of allowing the feeling, because that's what was causing the problem for me, was the feelings that I was feeling and, letting them out. And it wasn't until I stopped.
It wasn't until you stopped that what happened?
That I was seen as okay. Everyone thought I was okay once I found a way to stop feeling.
Okay, just breathe.
And there's a part of me that's so angry that I gave in. Angry at myself. But I felt like I didn't have a choice. I felt like I was going to be locked away if I continued to feel.
Okay, perfect. And then they can do the worksheets on the anger. You don't want to get too focused on the anger, though, because as we understand, the anger is always this drug or cover-up for pain or fear or sadness. So you'll have more productive worksheets when you do them on the pain and the fear and the sadness. But let yourself have that. Let yourself, come back to this, the archive of this show, and just listen to the tone, listen to the insights, and start doing worksheets around those issues, like you identified earlier. This is a hydra. And it, as with almost any hydra, the core of it is, what are the negative beliefs that I have downloaded? And I operate in my life as though they are absolutely true. That's the basic definition of a belief. I think this is true. And when I think this is true, it generates these thoughts that go along with that belief over and over and over again. And unless I find a set of tools like this to interrupt that process, then I have an endless stream of these hurtful, negative thoughts that I'm constantly either covering up or battling with or blaming on others. So soften. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's so interesting about this particular belief that I uncovered is that I came up against it every time. Like, I never did, after my parents didn't get me any help, and I don't know, somehow found a way to stop feeling all those feelings, I never reached out for help as an adult. But I didn't even remember, really, that all the stuff that had happened. It was just totally out of my mind at that point, and I was focused on career and all these other things. And then when I finally did, when everything came back up later in life, and I was like, oh, wow, I really need help with this stuff. And I finally got myself in therapy.
A commitment tool, which is like a personal code for a relationship, and it begins with the line, I promise to trust you enough to tell you the truth and be true to you. And I'm here to tell you, if you use that, many times it will lead to a better, deeper relationship. And sometimes people will leave your relationship. They don't want to hear the truth that you have to tell. They don't want to hear your perspective. They don't want to integrate your advice. They don't want to know about your fears, your hopes, your dreams. And that's got to be okay. You can't force somebody into
my nervous system enough that it's now my first nature to behave that way. And that's why it's an ongoing process of work, especially if you're the first one in the family system, the early adopter that said, well, I'm going to do this. Well, how many layers? Yeshua said, 77 times 70 times is how often I'm going to need to forgive, to remove that from my automatic decision system or my nervous system and to structure in something different.
So in other words,
that's
it's practice, practice, practice.
The rule of the 3 Ps. You've heard me say that before. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that input. I appreciate it.
Delighted and honored, young lady. Anything else on your mind for today?
No, not right now. Just grateful
all right.
for
well,
you all.
Have a blessed one.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
And we for you, too. All right. Blessings. Bye-bye. So we appreciate you being here to play with us. And if you're not aware of it, check your email. If you're on our email list, Jeannie did send out a newsletter just a couple of days ago. And we have a new program that we're just instituting. And it's going to be
18 different videos that you can buy. He's got a whole boatload of them on YouTube, little snippets of them that you can watch. There's one in particular on YouTube that used to be there. I'm sure it's probably still there. It's the first hour of the 4-hour Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop that he did in Woodstock, Illinois when we had him here. I think it was 2015. And it turned out so well that he decided to and Christine said, what are you talking about? And the therapist said, we've interviewed you, we've talked to him, we've done the testing, we've had the self-reports, the other reports. She said, you have a husband who turns himself inside out, upside down, 7 days a week trying to prove his love for you. and you find this little speck of dust in the corner of the room and say, look, if he loved me, he would get rid of that dust. So you might have been with a therapist who was willing to connect with you and willing to go in, and you would just not see it. You would literally, your mind would prevent you from seeing what that therapist had to offer, simply because that belief, I can't be helped, was getting resonated. You know, the Course in Miracles has a line where it says, we must come to understand the distorting power of the way we want things to be. And that's not necessarily what I want at a conscious level. That can be what I want, driven by this ironclad belief that's a taproot, deep, deep issue in me that I just know I can't be helped. And that will distort my perception.
Yeah,
so if you can,
I
just soften into that. Just what if it's not as complex as your mind is making it? What if you didn't attract all of these people in your life that were inept therapists? What if you're like Christiana Northrup, you're sitting in this beautiful lake and you're unable to see the water that's right there? We all do that. Every one of us. That's the core of this work.
Yeah. But I guess this is part of the hydra of this whole issue, because when I got to a point, you know, there were points during this therapy where I would, you know, be at home and I would get to a very critical point of really needing to talk to her. And I would call, and she would never return the phone call. She wouldn't even get back to me, like, if this was on a weekend, she wouldn't even get back to me on Monday. And then I'd go in the next week and see her, and she would, like, make some sort of flippant excuse, or she wouldn't even mention it. And I'd think, my God, I really needed you. Like, so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, but see that, this is, again, like, it goes back to, I see how this relates to my mother. Yeah, I really needed my mother, and she didn't come, she didn't respond to me either. It's like this lack of response. So I think this is all fun.
And here's another thing that's come to me several times in this call alone. You keep saying, I really needed my mother. I need it. So if you come into redefining, right, clarifying your definitions for need, the essence of it is from the definition of the word need. You did not need your mother. How do we know that? Because you survived and she wasn't there. She didn't do what you wanted, right? You wanted your mother, but she did not supply your wants. Absolutely. And if you start talking about it that way, instead of she didn't give me what I needed, then just watch how it changes, how it feels to you when you look back at those memories and what your perception of it is. This therapist didn't give you what you wanted, just like your mother didn't give you what you wanted. But every time you say they didn't give me what I needed, you're beginning with the premise that there's something missing in you, that you're damaged or broken.
Right.
And you keep reinforcing that with this language that I needed this and I didn't get it, which means there's something still missing in you. So from the other tool that Michael Ryce teaches, that regulatory speech, it would be very helpful for your processing to catch that wording and change it just to see how it feels to you, to substitute the word, I wanted this and I didn't get it, as opposed to saying, I needed this and I didn't get it.
Well, just from my own experience, you know, like when I obviously I don't know what I actually did need in that that earliest, when I was just an infant. But I do remember what it felt like when I would go in, those feelings of, it was rage on the outside. I don't know what it was on the inside, or underneath that. But when I would feel those feelings, I literally thought I was going to die. So for me, it really did feel like a need. Like I needed someone to help me, and I did survive, you're right, but it was so black. It was so scary. I really didn't know if I was going to survive.
I get it. It's absolutely the case. I get it. And so I believe that I have this need, right?
Yeah.
I believe that I have this need, but my belief is not the same thing as the actuality. And so there is a strength in you. There is an intelligence, a sensitivity, and a strength and a perseverance in you that when you were a child, you did not know you had.
Right.
And it's still there. But from that perspective where I don't know my strength, I don't really know my ability to survive, I don't really know my intelligence and my emotional sensitivity, I can formulate negative conclusions about myself that as long as I hold on to them, then they drive my perception. Was this a miserable situation? Absolutely. Think about Diedrich Wolzak's situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely miserable. He was his first 3.5 years of life in a concentration camp. Everywhere he went for his first 8 or 12 or 15 years of life, he was bullied and abused, and absolutely horrible. Does that create who he is once he finds the tools and works on it? No. Did he have strength and insight, intuition, intelligence, creativity that he didn't even know he had? Yes. You have those things too. The fact that you didn't know them created your experience of needing them. So we're down to the last minute, so go ahead and finish that thought.
I don't even remember what it was, but no, I think I was just going to say, I recognize that I did survive all of that, and therefore I can handle these feelings, and I just keep reminding myself that there isn't anything I can't handle. I mean, whatever life brings up, I can handle it. Because I'm not alone here. I always thought I was alone, and now I know I'm not alone. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call and all the work you're doing. It's benefiting you and millions others, as the Course in Miracles would say. I will look forward to our next contact. I appreciate your willingness to work and share it with us on the show. I'll mute you. Thank you so much for your time. And I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love.